Scott, what's the latest on Oahu? What's their feedback? What's the market? What's happening?
Man, we've been cruising along with not too much news for a little while, and then bang, all at one time, like four different things are going on. The biggest, so I'll give you a quick market update just so, because it leads into something else that's really interesting. Single family homes this year on Oahu, the median sales price is 1.15 million now. We are actually up year to date 22% in price from the same time last year, which is, I mean, it's amazing. We're still trucking along. And condos, because there's so little inventory on the single family home side, the condo market is heated up, and the offshore and foreign buyers are starting to come back, and prices are up 14% year to date for condos. And what's crazy, it I saw an article where we're 30% more affordable now than we were at the peak in 2006. So they're saying we have more room upward to go. But interest rates just went up from the bottom of where interest rates were during the pandemic. They've gone up 2%. In the last 3 months, they've gone up 1.5%. And what's amazing, if you calculate that to a price component, in the last 3 months, if you move it over to what that would equate in a price appreciation, that's 20% in the last 3 months. So you're up 22% in price from the same time last year, and an effective cost on people's mortgages by 20%. And you're up 28% from the beginning, from the bottom of where interest rates had dropped. So at some point you can't keep on this accelerated path. But what is interesting is when I look at the number of new sales, they're down. I mean, I'm sorry, number of new listings, they're still down. And the pending sales, which are escrows going on right now, are higher than they were last year. So the momentum isn't slowing down yet, but yet we're having this significant appreciation. I mean, common sense would tell you, if you're in a market where conditions are going to lend itself to 20% price appreciation, you would think that if interest rates equated to like a 10% increase, then prices would probably only go up 10%. We're far exceeding that. So the interesting thing is we're in an inflationary time. We're moving in that direction where things are going to cost more, and most people buying a mortgage payment. So I do expect us to decelerate on that price. You can't have both of these going on in the same way and keep the same momentum. But I don't see prices coming down. And even if they did go sideways, what are we talking? Your mortgage payment tomorrow is going to cost more than it would today, right? So if you wait to buy, it's going to cost you more if you're getting a mortgage payment. It's interesting. I'm interested to see what happens with the numbers in the next 2 to 3 months, because we should see some deceleration, not slow down. And I'm hoping to slow down in some of the number of sales, because we're still active inventories at 425, where it's not like it's ballooning up, and the pending sales are far outstripping that. So, man, the market just keeps getting weirder. Then you add on top of it the Red Hill issue, where they're talking about a moratorium on water, potentially new developments, I should say, restriction of water, and potentially a moratorium on new construction and new developments. Okay, don't add any more supply to the market. What's that going to do to prices at that point? And it takes 5 to 7 years to build a new well, which is what they were talking about. So if you don't have new construction for 5 to 7 years, man, it's crazy. I mean, it's nuts to imagine what's coming down.
I mean, as you're saying all this, what's kind of going through my mind was that, if if the laws of economics are still in effect, in this universe, which they presumably are, uh, it really means only one thing. It means that, um, well, either there's been a huge increase in the demand, which is possible because you have these, the pandemic opened up a new category of buyer, an out of state buyer that can work remotely, and that becomes an in state buyer that can work remotely. So that is a new category of buyer, hence a new sense of the demand. And it also means that the market was significantly undervalued. It was significantly undervalued, and these price increases, and these nonstop increases, kind of seem to take effect. Crazy. All right, let's go to. Go ahead. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about this. Not only did we add out-of-state buyers, because when people were sitting at home during the pandemic reevaluating their life, they said, where do we want to live? We don't want to live here. We want to go live in Hawaii or somewhere else. But those interest rates that dropped, allowed people to refinance, lower their payments, potentially pull capital and equity out of their property. Now they got to go invest it. So everybody got this huge influx of capital to be able to go invest. And that's what you're partly starting to see.
And that's
And then real estate market wise. So just to give some practical examples of what this interest rate hike is causing in the market, you related to what Scott is talking about, is I've had 2 transactions on my team cancel in the last week because of a reevaluation of the interest rate. So if you're working on, and this is just general advice to buyers out there, if you got pre-qualified 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, and you're shopping, and that's like your maximum price point that you can buy, you may want to go redo your pre-qualification, talk to your lender again, because your buying power could have gone down. And so what we're seeing happen is people are getting under contract based on a pre-qualification amount that they got maybe 2 months ago, and now they don't qualify for that anymore. So once you open escrow and the lender reevaluates the file, they're no longer qualified to buy because the increase in the interest rate has decreased their buying power. So that's definitely going to have some type of effect. But like Scott was saying, we're not feeling that. I mean, that's happening on a case-by-case basis, but that property goes back on the market and they find a buyer for it the next day. So it's not like it's having a detrimental effect on the ability of a seller to sell a property. And for us on the Big Island, what's interesting is that a year ago, we were back in full swing, right? March of 2021, the market was on fire. And on the Big Island, we had 1,596 active listings, just all properties, condos, homes, land, and there were 1,631 in escrow. So there were more under contract a year ago than there were available to purchase. And then so today it's 1,530. So there's a few less active listings than there were a year ago, but there's 1,293 in escrow. So we're back to more active listings than in escrow, but we're almost still kind of at that 1-to-1, when normally it's more of a 2 to 3-to-1 ratio in terms of number of properties available versus properties that are under contract. So still the market is crushing. The only reason that I think there's a slowdown in the number of escrows is that buyers are being really aggressive on price. So we're starting to see homes sit for 90 days, 100 days, because they're $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 overpriced. So that's the biggest mistake a seller can make in this market, is that you abuse the really favorable market you're in and try and be really, really greedy. And buyers at some point will say, okay, that's enough. I'm not gonna buy. But yeah, the market continues to be strong. The interesting stat on the Big Island too is that the median price for condos is actually higher than the median price for homes right now. So we're at this is island wide, because we do have markets where there are affordable homes, but the median price for homes are $515. The median price for condos is $650, and condos are seeing over 100% average list to sold price. So the condo market is completely on fire right now.
That's great. Dylan, you said there's 1,500 current listings going on. Is that what you said? 1,500 or so?
That's all listings. So homes, land, and condos.
Right, everything.
Available properties. Yeah.
And Scott's cracking up because Scott, you said Oahu has 400, right?
Well, that's homes.
No, so that's homes. But we only have 875 active condos on the market. So we're at like 1,300. We're less than the Big Island, and that includes all high-rise towers. The entire urban core, everything. It's nuts.
This has been another trend, right? That we've kind of repeated at almost like every show. For rounding error purposes, Oahu and the Big Island had the same amount of listings. Let's just say give or take, same amount of listings. However, Dylan, how many times the population? I mean, Oahu has 1 million people, and
Oahu's 5 times the population. Yeah.
We have 5 times the population. Just to give you a sense of how crazy this market is, we have 5 times the population. The same amount of homes.
And let me add context to my number, because it can be a little bit deceiving. We have tons of agricultural land that is for sale. So 800 to 1,000 listings on the Big Island at any given time are vacant land lots in the rural areas of the island. So really, we have from homes and condo standpoint, we have like 400 or 500. So it's a lot less than what it looks like in terms of total available listings. But it's crazy because we're floating right around 400 active single family home listings, which is about the same as Oahu.
Right.
So that number is almost 1-to-1 with Oahu.
The number is still a 1-to-1 number, but we have a 5 times more. It's crazy. All right, we had a couple. Go ahead, Scott.
And to piggyback on what both Heidi and Dylan said, for what we're having to do with buyers now at this point is hey, anytime you see a property that you like, okay, we got to run your numbers again because rates have changed. And where are you now before we go and put in that offer? Do we do it? Do you know what your payment's going to be? More or less once a week, we're having to rerun people's numbers just to make sure we're staying in line and to follow things, see where they go, and give that advisement on strategy and stuff. We have 5 out of 10 condos are selling over asking price here, and 6 out of 10 homes are selling over the asking price.
And this is after, year over year 20% increase in prices, and with a sort of a hidden 20% increase in price due to the interest rates going up. So it's just amazingly nonstop. And Dylan, any market updates, any news? What would you like to share about Maui, Heidi?
So just a quick market update. We received our new stats, and condo median prices on Maui shot up to 820,000 for the median price for a condo last month, which is up 28% from last year. And single family homes are at 1.1775 as a median price for a single family home. Still continues with less on the market, low inventory compared to last year. Since I don't know, the market's always changing, right? I mean, things are just a little bit different than they were before. Interest rates are going up, it's causing some buyers to take a pause, but then other buyers are even more motivated because they're thinking, oh, well, I better get something now and not wait a year or two. So it's an interesting